Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Planet Planet Entertainment. My name is Chris, and in case you don't know, I review movies and I rate them on a scale of 0 to 100 in increments of 5. Welcome to the Summer of Marvel. As promised, I will be reviewing every single Marvel movie that I did not review already in order in which it was released. I will also be doing Thor: Love and Thunder probably the day before it comes out, so that one will just come out of order. I've seen every Marvel movie already except for Eternals. I never bothered to watch that. I will just for this though. But hey man, we're here. As promised. Came a little bit later than I wanted to do it, but we are here. Also, I want to get this done by August 31st. If this has to continue into September, I will do that. So like, even if this takes all the way through into next year, we are going to review every single Marvel movie. I promise. Even if it takes longer than the summer, even if it takes longer than 2022, we are going to get this done. So, I'm excited to do this. Let's get started with the very first Iron Man. I don't remember this movie coming out, actually, at all. I'm sure a lot of my friends went to go see it. I wasn't allowed to watch PG-13 movies when I was a kid, so I even missed Avatar when that came out, which sucks. I was 10 when Avatar came out, and I didn't get to go see it in theaters. And to this day, I never have, and it's on the bucket list to go to see, even though I don't love Avatar, to see Avatar in theaters. But I don't remember this movie coming out. I do remember the Hulk coming out, and I will be reviewing the Hulk next, but I do remember the Hulk coming out. This one I don't. So this one I unfortunately missed out on. But I saw it later on, and I never really liked it that much. I always thought it was really boring compared to the other Marvel movies. But I rewatched this movie today for the first time in years. I haven't seen this movie in so long until today. And I gotta say, I really, really enjoyed it. I really liked it. It was really, really good. It felt different from what we get from Marvel today. It is a little bit different from what we get from Marvel today, and not necessarily in a bad way. So let's talk about Iron Man. Iron Man came out in 2008, and it stars Robert Downey Jr., Gwyneth Paltrow, Tennis Howard, and Jeff Bridges, and it was directed by Jon Favreau. And this movie, of course, tells the story of Tony Stark, who's the CEO. I apologize, my nose is running a little bit. Who's the CEO of a company called Stark Industries that's making weapons for the United States military to help fight against terrorists. You know, this came out back in 2008, back when like Afghanistan was, still like, relevant. And so it made sense to have it be about terrorists. And he gets kidnapped by these terrorists. And when he manages to escape, he decides to stop arms dealing. Or not, legal arms dealing, because he realized that the terrorists had his weapons and they were using it against them. All the while, he invents the Iron Man suit because he wants to, and it's really cool. Yeah, like I said, great movie. So I already talked a little bit about the film, so let's just jump into our pros and cons. So firstly, this was one of those movies that helped make superhero movies practical. I think this came out right before The Dark Knight did. I'm pretty sure this one came first. And Batman Begins came before this. And Batman Begins was really what helped set that up. Now, is it possible that we wouldn't have got this movie without Batman Begins? Maybe. But the point is that this movie is one of those superhero movies that help make superheroes feel practical. The MCU does a great job with that. Like Ant-Man, for example. Ant-Man normally would never seem like you could do him and not make him feel stupid and ridiculous, but Marvel did it. This movie is also perfectly casted. Robert Downey Jr. is perfectly casted as Iron Man. He embodied this role. This is his career role. Iron Man wasn't super well known outside of comic book fans before this movie came out. And after Iron Man came out, everybody knew who Iron Man was. And it was really because of Robert Downey Jr. He embodied that character so well. He took that role and made it his own. It is an example of absolute perfect casting. And you can't see anybody else playing that role. But it's not just him. Terrence Howard is really good in this movie. It's a shame he never came back, but Don Cheadle did a really good job replacing him. Gwyneth Paltrow is great as well. Jeff Bridges is great as well. And Jon Favreau, who I don't think he had any lines in this movie. If he did, it was maybe just one. But he plays Happy, and he played a bigger role in Marvel as this series went on. But he casted himself perfectly as Happy, which was awesome. Let's see. It's got some great humor. It's smart and witty. It's not too hi Dougie. It's not too on the nose, and it's more subtle than what we typically get from Marvel movies today. Like Marvel movies today are very, very quippy, and the humor is really good in them. Like I imagine back at this time nobody could have imagined Thor Ragnarok. Like that's just so that just shows go that goes to show how far the MCU has come from Iron Man to what we have now. Watching Downey Jr. work on tech is surprisingly entertaining. This movie isn't super action heavy. A lot of time he's working on tech. He's trying to get this whole Iron Man thing figured out, and it's really entertaining. I can understand why I used to think this movie was really boring, but when I look at it now from more of an adult, mature eyes, I can appreciate it better. I love the relationship that Robert Downey Jr. has with Terrence Howard in it. They are really good together, and I love the relationship that Robert Downey Jr. has with Gwyneth Paltrow. They have like this love thing that's like unspoken between them a little bit, but it's just really nice. And Terrence Howard, Robert Downey Jr., like, they care about each other and they love each other. It's just that Robert Downey Jr.'s character is so sarcastic that it's a little bit hard for that to come out. But, like, that, like, they genuinely care for each other. And that's really nice. The dialogue is really, really good. Robert Downey Jr. has fantastic dialogue in this movie. And a lot of it, I believe, was improv. It's grounded, even with its amazing technology. Like I said, it's far different from what we get from the MCU today. This movie is a little bit more grounded than what we typically get now. Like, back then, you couldn't have imagined Thanos, but eventually we did get him. That was 10 years later was when we got Infinity War. So, let's see. He's very easy to root for, and it's awesome to watch him take on all these terrorists. I think the best part of the movie for me was when he's trying to escape the cave when he's kidnapped by the terrorists. It's really awesome to take them all on. The action is really, really good. It's very clear. It's not up close. The camera's not too close. It's not shaky. And this is at a time when shaky cam was at its most prevalent. So this movie did a really good job at avoiding that. It doesn't feel the need to be too action heavy. It's more focused on telling you a story, and I appreciate that. Although I wouldn't want that from every Marvel movie. Here, that really worked. The special effects still hold up. This is from before Avatar, when Avatar really revolutionized CGI, and this movie still holds up wonderfully. Let's see. It shows how to correctly set up sequels. It doesn't forget to be its own movie. A lot of movies today, even Marvel, they try too hard to try and set up the next film, to the point where we have films that are dedicated entirely to setting up the next one. I'm looking at you, Fantastic Beasts 2. But this movie doesn't forget to be its own movie and tell its own story, and it shows how to properly and subtly set up a sequel. That, excluding the after credits scene, they show how to properly and subtly set up what could be to come. When Agent Coulson finally says, "Just call us S.H.I.E.L.D." That's perfect. That's all we need. The first few MCU movies feel different from current MCU movies, but they don't feel different in a bad way. I like that. Like the Incredible Hulk and Captain America, they feel different, but not in a bad way. And especially Captain America, I really like that one. The evil corporation aspect that like this plot that's on, where is it? And Sita on the other side of that. Okay, anyway. Yeah, just like Jurassic World. That's not a good movie. The evil corporation aspect, so it actually works here. It actually does work here. It doesn't feel forced. It's not too heavy-handed, unlike Jurassic World Dominion, where it does. Here, the evil corporation thing, it's not as up in your face, and it works. It's written really well. And this movie really feels like a 2000s film in a good way, especially when I look at the poster. I just get this 2000s nostalgia, even though I don't remember this film coming out, because this movie probably would not be made quite the same today. It just feels like a 2000s film to me. And I really appreciate that, because I'm very nostalgic about the 2000s, because that was my childhood. I was born in 99, so I'm very nostalgic about the 2000s. As my cons, I don't really have many. It's just, I feel like the terrorists probably would have caught him making the original Iron Man suit. I feel like, even with the cameras and everything, And also, they could have just had a terrorist in the room with them watching them work the whole time. That would have stopped it, but, you know, whatever. But anyways, I really like Iron Man. I'm really glad I rewatched this film because I've been wrong about it all these years. By the way, this isn't even on Blu-ray. This is on DVD. This is just like a weird thing that I own. It's got Iron Man 2 in it as well. But they're DVD? It's just a weird thing that I own. If you saw my DVD update when I talked about that, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, so with all that being said, I'm going to give Iron Man a 90. I really like this film. Really good. It's different from what we get from the MCU today. And it's honestly, in that way, it's refreshing. And I appreciate that about this film. All right. Next is The Incredible Hulk. I'm also going to be... The next review I'm doing is Jurassic Park 3. I was either going to do Jurassic Park 3 or this tonight because I finished my notes for both, but I thought, nah, let's go ahead and start the Summer of Marvel. So, next will be Jurassic Park 3, and after that, it will probably be The Incredible Hulk. So, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to Pod Planet Tape for more. Hit the like button, leave me reviews, suggestions down in the comments down below. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Pod Planet TV for channel updates and bonus content. And much love.